Greetings, travelers. I'm Midwestern Viking, and welcome back to my channel. Feel free to grab your deck, pass the popcorn, and pull up a chair. Let's get started. Hey guys, so today I'd like to talk a little bit about the Backrooms. Went and saw this almost a week ago, thought on it for a little bit, and wanted to give some thoughts. This movie just came out very recently. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Rinsby. I may be pronouncing those wrong. If I am, I do apologize. Um, it is directed by Kane Parsons, and it came out, I want to say the end of May or beginning of June. Uh, so let's talk about it a little bit. Uh, I thought it was a fairly good movie overall. Wasn't anything groundbreaking. As someone who's on YouTube and watches a lot of gameplay, I know quite a lot about the Backrooms, so didn't know exactly what to expect. There's the world is your oyster, as far as your imagination goes. That's how far you can take it. So overall, um, I thought there was good and bad. The parts that were found footage, I really didn't like. Found footage isn't my favorite, but it was very shaky, and overall, I thought it lacked in the found footage spaces. As for the rest of it, the parts of the movie that weren't found footage, which I would say is most of it, it was very well lit. It was very brightly colored, which you expect with like the back rooms. Fluorescent lighting kind of feels like an office space, and I thought that was very good. Um, the audio, I don't know how to describe it. It kind of sounded like it was through a recording, not like you're listening to a movie, if that makes sense. The entire movie, I couldn't quite place my finger on it. It felt different. Um, Let me think. So there's a point where the main character kind of switches. You think it is the gentleman that you start the movie with, and then it kind of switches to his psychiatrist, and we'll get into reasons for why later. So that was kind of interesting point of view. What else was there? The effects I thought were really, really interesting. So there were these people, and these people in the movie, it was described as trying to tell somebody who's blind what a dog looks like and asking them to draw it. And that's a good perspective, like somebody who has a general idea of what humans are tried to draw them. uh it was very interesting. So a little bit about the monster design. I didn't watch any trailers for this on purpose because I was super excited. um I don't know if they showed the monster in the trailer. The I can't tell too much about the monster, it gives it away, but it seemed to be a mix of practical and special effects. If it was all practical, I'm genuinely shocked it was really good, but I think it was kind of a mix. I'm not super well versed in that, so I'm not 100% positive. I can definitely tell if something is all practical effects, and I don't think this was. But as far as like a generalized idea, that's about all the ideas I have without getting into spoilers. Overall, if you're interested in seeing the movie, highly recommend going to watch it. I thought it was really fun, and as any of you who've watched my previous videos know, I'm really into original ideas. And while the backrooms might not be necessarily an original idea in and of itself, you can do anything original with it that you want because it's such an open sandbox. And I really like that idea. So let's go ahead and get into some spoilers. Start off with the opening scene. Uh, I don't remember the character's name, started with an N. Is traveling through the back rooms, and he's in some sort of suit, like a hazmat suit. So obviously, there's something going on in these back rooms. You're not sure what. And it was found footage, and it was extremely shaky, somewhat disorienting, and that really bothers me. Um, it was brightly colored, it was well lit, which, like I said, you kind of expect that from the back rooms. And the found footage scenes aren't a lot. Uh, Pretty quickly, it goes to like being shot through a movie camera, not like a handheld camera. So we meet the main character, whose name is Clark. Turns out this gentleman is an owner of a furniture store. It appears to not be doing very well. He is filming a commercial at one point, and it is done by his two employees who had to rent the video camera or borrow the video camera from their school, college students, and it's very low budget. So you know, it appears that this furniture store isn't doing well. He's seeing a therapist because his ex wife has kicked him out of the house, and he is sleeping in the furniture store on his showroom furniture. And at one point, he and his psychiatrist go through this exercise about the night he was kicked out of his home. And we kind of get the idea that he has a drinking problem from this exercise. He shows up very late, drunk, breaks, I think he said a glass, and it leads to a huge fight. At which point he says, somebody has to work because you won't get off your fat ass and stop being a student or something to that effect. I don't remember exactly. And she calls him a wannabe architect, and he says he is an architect, and that's when he insulted her. So overall, not the most not the most likable guy right off the bat. You can tell he's got some issues. I personally wasn't fond of the character. I thought, how do I put this? I thought he was a little pushy and definitely had some anger issues just based off of that exercise. So we go into him waking up in the office office and he has an electrician over asking about blackouts. And the electrician's like, nothing seems to be wrong. And you have a breaker box, they're all on a line. And then at the bottom of the breaker box, there are these three red breakers that are diagonal. That's not where breakers would be. And the electrician's like, I don't know who put these here. You can't, they're not connected to anything, because if they were, they'd be in the middle of some sort of electrical jargon that I didn't understand. So fast forward a little bit, and he is asleep, and lights start flickering down in all the lights come on upstairs, and lights start flickering, and he's like, what the heck? So he goes downstairs to start messing with breakers, and there's a spot in the wall, and he goes through the spot in the wall, and he goes into the back rooms. He starts exploring a little bit. There is a cardboard cutout that is playing something in different languages. And he keeps going into the back rooms. The only time he exits is when he starts hearing some sort of creature. And he runs and he gets back out of the back rooms. And he goes back to his therapist and he's telling her about this place. And she obviously thinks something is wrong with him. And as he's leaving, he says that he's going to prove that he's not crazy and she will owe him a fucking apology. So he goes to his two assistants' house, Bobby and Kat, and asks them if they can work the next day. I believe it's Saturday. He says he'll pay them overtime and such. And so they go, and he shows them the back rooms. They're kind of freaking out. He just wants them to document. And turns out he's mapped out a bunch of this. You know, he's an architect, so he kind of does that. And they get to a point where there is like a chute's not the right word, but it is a ramp, very steep ramp, and it what's the how do you put it? It doesn't look super steep, but once he goes down and like he if they don't help him while he's on the rope, he'll start to fall. So Bobby goes down here with the camera and he's looking around, and there's laundry everywhere. And that I kind of enjoyed that because my interpretation of the Backrooms is things that fall through cracks in space or something, right? So, you do your laundry and you're missing a sock. And no matter where you look, that sock is nowhere to be found. Fell in the Backrooms. I kind of like that idea. I think that laundry room being full of socks is kind of excellent. Um, so he's looking around through here, and then all of a sudden he sees this figure, and he points at it. Turns out it's a monster. So he's like, pull me back, starts rushing back up the ramp, gets up there, and he has a good knot tied into this rope thanks to Clark. And when he gets up there, they're trying to untie him. There's a large portion of the rope down in the chute, and it pulls him back down. And that's not good for the other two people up top because it is still attached to the bed that is directly behind them. And after a moment of whatever happens to Bobby while he's down there, this monster grabs the rope and yanks it, dragging Kat and Clark down the hole. And they get separated. Kat goes through this door that she sees the monster drag Bobby into, and Clark, hearing the monster come back towards him, goes in this hole between walls and kind of starts giving chase. He eventually goes to this room that has like a pool in it. So then Clark comes up to a wall, and on the other side of it is Kat, but to her it's glass, and she can see him, and she's like, I'm right here, help me just break the glass. Clark's like, what glass? And things start to go kind of haywire, and then boom, we change scenes, and the therapist is having a dream, and it's a dream of what we assume is her as a child, and what we assume is her mom putting handprints in concrete, and then a house like crashes down on them, kind of jump scary. I thought it was kind of cheap. That bothers me. I don't like cheap jump scares. And she is an adult standing there looking at this home being demolished. There's crumbled concrete, and one of them is a small handprint. She grabs it, puts it in her pocket. So at some point, Clark got back out of the back rooms, and he calls her, leaves her a voicemail, and says, I was right. I don't remember exactly what he said. Something about I was right. You'll never see me again. Oh, yes. When Clark was running from the monster. Before I continue further, that reminds me. When Clark was running from the monster, there's a part where he runs through this Christmas room, and it's very dark with bright red lights. And there are these people, if you can call them that. And that's where we talk about the things that if you describe a dog to a blind man and then the blind man tries to draw it, they look kind of like people, but not really. So that's where it fades to black. It doesn't fade to black in the bathroom area. And that is him running from the monster. It's the last we see of Clark. Then he leaves the voicemail. The therapist is very worried. The therapist goes to his store. There's only two cars there, the college kids and his. And she goes in, it's empty. She's like, "What is this?" She goes looking around. There's some flickering, I believe, in the downstairs area. So she goes down there and she's looking around. She has no idea what's going on. She sees a fly buzzing around. The fly goes in to the part of the wall that he has taped a door around because that's where the backrooms door is. And she's like, "What?" And it takes her a moment and a couple times to realize, like, oh, this is a portal. And when she goes in there, um, she starts exploring and she goes to this area that has a painting on the wall. And I don't remember the things the painting on the wall says, but Clark shows up. And Clark's talking to her, telling her about the things about the backrooms, what it is. And he said basically it's like the place remembers parts of things, but not the entirety. So, like, in one scene, there's a dresser, but the dresser isn't like 6 feet long. It's like half of a dresser, and then it extends out as far as you can see. It's almost there, but it's not quite right in a lot of aspects. And kind of that's how he describes it. And, talks about the monster and it's coming. And he's like, hold on, we just gotta. And it's weird. He's acting strange. And he gets to her and he gets behind her and he says, "I'm so sorry. It was me." And he knocks her out. I don't remember if he chokes her. I don't remember how. But she blacks out and she wakes up tied up at a kitchen table. And things are not right. Clark has clearly lost it. He is sitting there talking about different things. There is the woman who is the last thing we see when he's in the back rooms prior. There is a man at the table, and there is a little person uh, at a wheelchair with a light. So we go from him talking and seeming somewhat kind of okay to pulling a knife out of a drawer. And he says, "You know what the greatest thing about these creatures are? They can't feel anything," and cuts a piece out. They're edible. Puts a piece on a plate, puts a piece on another plate, puts a piece in front of the therapist, and tells her to eat it. She refuses to eat it. When he opens the fridge, his employee, the girl, her head is in there. And Mary starts to kind of freak out. And he's trying to get her to calm down and stuff, and they go back and forth doing the exercise again, but this time he's much angrier. He's embraced the violence, you can tell. And she doesn't hold back as a therapist. She's not professional. She goes all in on him. And then she proceeds to start to talk him into letting her go. And it works. He goes and he cuts one of her arms free and he's going to cut the other one free. And the woman creature runs to the other side of the room and just starts running into the wall over and over again. I don't remember what the man at the table does, but the little man in the wheelchair starts clicking the light over and over erratically. And you hear the footsteps of the monster. And Clark tells her, "It'll be okay. It's me," etc., etc. And the monster comes in and he tries to communicate with it, telling it it's okay. She realizes it's us, something to that effect. We're going to be okay. The monster goes up and picks him up. And he keeps telling him it'll be okay, this, that, and the other. And before you know it, the monster like squeezes him and takes a bite out of him and basically kills Clark. And we get some time with her trying to escape the monster. Uh, she goes through a few different kind of areas, one of which is very similar looking to like what's the word? Suburbs, like the little houses all built the same side by side. There's an area with what appears to be an infinite floor, infinite like hole that is just rows of different levels of the back rooms, and there's a very thin set of stairs going up, and that's the only escape from the monster if she doesn't go down. So she goes up those stairs through the tiny door at the top, which goes to a backrooms version of Clark's office store, furniture store. And again, this is almost like Clark's furniture store, but not quite. Um, there are small details wrong, other larger details wrong. Oh, and this monster um, is Clark's mascot for his store. His mascot is, I don't remember the name of the character. It might have been Clark's, I don't remember, but it is him as a pirate. Future Viking here. I was really tired when I made this video last night and I forgot to mention that it is Pirate Clark, and he is essentially the Backrooms manifestation of Clark, probably from the commercial, that misremembering that we talked about. And Clark kind of explains that to us earlier at the table and such, and he thinks he can control this monster because it's him, or at least communicate and like get on the same thought process. Meant to mention that last night, but it was super late and I was really tired. Sorry, I hope you can forgive me. And it is chasing her through the office building, not office building. My apologies, the furniture store, and he almost gets to her, but then this gas starts going over everywhere, going off, and there's cables, and the sign is in there, the one that was speaking, and she sees a hole in the wall going somewhere, and she tries to get to it. And as she's trying to get to it, the monster gets to her, and she pulls that rock out of her pocket and starts bashing it in the head. And she finally knocks it over, and she's able to get through the wall. It can't get to her. Fast forward just a little bit. Turns out there is a company in there. I don't remember the name of the company, like Async or something like that. Um, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the company. There was a brief scene earlier in the movie where we meet Phil, who is played by the lead actor in the movie Creep. I cannot remember his name at this moment, but I really like this actor. He's also from a show called The League, and he works for this company. He sees the commercial for Clark's furniture store, and he kind of acts interested, we'll say. So Phil comes in and interrogates Mary, the therapist, and is asking questions. This company used to make MRI machines. They no longer do that. They are trying to map out the back rooms. And he asks her some questions. She wants to know if she's going to get out. He says that's not up to him. And it's very foreboding. Feels like she's going to be stuck. And it ends with them showing us different parts of the back room. It ends with them showing us different rooms, just kind of slowly one by one. Yeah, that's it. I didn't want to get too far deep into it, but I thought giving the rundown of the movie might be good. I don't know how many people are interested in this movie since, it's not an IP or anything, and I don't know how much it is blowing up online, but I really liked it. The found footage part, it was pretty jarring. If you're not into that, there's probably 10-ish minutes of found footage through the whole movie, so it's not too terrible. But the found footage in this movie is bad. I think it's very bad. I recommend giving it a watch, especially at theaters. I am very, very much on the side of supporting movies. I love going to the movie theater and watching movies, and it is becoming less and less of an art form and just what IP can we put together. I'll watch just about anything in the movie theater, but I really like these passion projects. So if you like horror movies, I recommend checking this one out. It might be up your alley. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Uh, if I forgot anything really relevant to the story, you can remind me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, how you felt about the movie. I like knowing people's opinions and even discussing opinions with people. I'm really enjoying making these videos, so I appreciate all you guys who are watching, leaving likes. If any of you want to leave a comment, please, I would love to chat with you and hear your thoughts on my videos, hear your thoughts on the movies, anything you think I could do better. And if you want to, drop a subscribe if you like the movies that I'm talking about and the videos. Why not? I've never asked people to subscribe, so that's really weird for me. But yeah, um, that's my thoughts on it. So until next time, take care, have fun, and keep rowing forward. I'll see you on the next adventure.